What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Hateful Truth video game review series. I'm DSP, and today we are going to talk about another one of these shameless cash-in movie games. And it seems like every year there's just more and more of these. Usually they come out around the summer because they tie in with most of the action films that come out during that time. It's getting even worse now because, as you know, comic books are pretty much the big thing now in movies for the summer. And so every year now we're getting 2 to 3 of these comic book cash-in movies, and in turn they all have video game console releases. So what we're going to talk about today is one that actually, to be completely honest, wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think it is a little bit better. Oh, excuse me, I'm belching, it's coming up and I don't want to erupt all over. It's a little bit better than most of the other movie tie-in games that I have played. But that being said, it's still not very good. And this game, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is Captain America Super Soldier for the Xbox 360, but it also is available for PS3. Those are comparable versions. One thing I do want to say, don't be fooled by when they have these kind of games for the Wii or for the PS2 or for a handheld. Those are different games than what's on the Xbox 360 and PS3. They're actually completely different. So, you know, if you hear my review of this game, understand it's only for Xbox 360 and or PS3. The Wii version is going to be a different game, okay? So, Captain America Super Soldier. First of all, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a very big fan of Captain America, okay? I know all about him. I used to, follow comic books a lot when I was younger. So I know his story. I know all about, his World War II antics and how then he was frozen in a block of ice and carried over into the current day. And being that I know all of that, I did actually appreciate that the game tried to stay true to a lot of the characters that were classic characters from the Captain America comic books. But the movie, in my opinion, the reason really they made a Captain America movie, let's be honest, they wanted to make an Avengers movie. And they said, gee, we can't just make an Avengers movie and have the leader Captain America, the side character Thor, all just be introduced for the first time in this movie. People will be confused because they won't know their backstories. So what they said is, let's make a Captain America movie so that we can have a backstory so when we make Avengers, people understand it. And that's why this game exists, because it's a movie tie-in of that. It's a game tie-in of that movie, sorry. That being said, the content of this game is not the content of the movie. This is kind of like an in-between story. It's not his origin story. He's already become Captain America in this game, but it's the story of him going to Belgium to basically infiltrate Baron Zemo's mansion, estate, or whatever you call it. I'm sorry, not Belgium, Bavaria. My fault. It's you go to Bavaria to infiltrate Baron Zemo's estate, which has been taken over by Hydra. Now, Hydra is the terrorist group that in the Marvel Comics universe is kind of like the Nazis. Really, in Marvel Comics, the Nazis don't exist. It's Hydra who is trying to take over the world during World War II. And so this is a story of Captain America showing up there, trying to shut down this base, discovering what's really going on at this base, that that there's actually an excavation going on. They're excavating a very powerful artifact. And it's him trying to stop some of the classic villains from Captain America and the Hydra storylines in this game, including Lady Hydra, including Red Skull. I'm trying to Steel Cross is in it. I'm sorry, Iron Cross is in it, and there's one other guy too, Baron. I forget, the first guy that you end up fighting in the game is like someone from the classic comics, but I kind of forgot who he was because you beat him pretty quickly and he never comes back. So anyway, in typical movie game fashion, it's the same camera you've seen in every movie game ever. It's a third-person perspective. You're running around, and right off the bat, I have to say, this game is worth a weekend rental because it's fucking hilarious, okay? The animations for Captain America, they have this guy who's wearing a skin-tight leather outfit. He's got a motorcyclist helmet on because they kind of went back to the old plot lines of Captain America that he loves riding a motorcycle. He's a motorcyclist, which is so fucking stupid. But they brought him back to this. So he's wearing a motorcycle helmet, and he just looks hilarious. Everything about him is just fucking funny. It looks like a guy in a Halloween outfit doing fucking backflips and shit in this game. And let me tell you, the animations they gave him are fucking great. They're just hilariously funny. Like, he does some kind of a spinning fucking roundhouse kick that looks like, I don't know if you're wrestling fans, but Kofi Kingston, who's a WWE wrestler, has a finisher called the Trouble in Paradise, where he does a super flipping spin kick. Captain America does that in the game, When the fuck did he ever do that in the comics? I have no idea, but they put it in the game. So there's funny stuff like that in this game. And as you would expect from Captain America, he's got melee attacks, he's got throw attacks or holds, he's got shield attacks where he throws his shield and it bounces around, and he's got special attacks that use a special bar, and those are good for fighting like mid-bosses or tougher enemies that have armor on, because he can usually break through the armor and kill them with 1 or 2 hits. And so it's pretty much exactly what you would expect. You're beat up a bunch of these Hydra operatives, you're trying to infiltrate the castle, and you use your shield to hit things that are far away. There are some puzzles in the game, not too many, but a couple puzzles. There's this hacking mechanic of trying to hack a door, and it's funny because it kind of looks like you're trying to hack a terminal like in fucking Fallout, but not really, because the puzzles, all you have to do is line up 2 identical numbers with your thumbsticks. So it's like a puzzle that you do this. Oh, I solved the puzzle. So it's nothing too intellectually stimulating, to say the least. But I have to say, the voice acting's pretty good. The characters are interesting. The combat is not bad. The combat, I really didn't have many complaints about the combat in this game. You know, a lot of people when I was playing it were comparing the combat to Batman Arkham Asylum, because it looks like the melee combat, a lot of it is similar to Arkham Asylum, where you can hit one guy, turn around, hit another guy, turn around, hit another guy. You can go between them and kind of keep them all at bay while you're fighting. There are counter hits and reversal moves as well. So if someone's about to hit you, you can counter them and then do a counter hit, just like, again, like Batman Arkham Asylum. So I can understand those comparisons, but I think the combat actually is more complex than in Batman Arkham Asylum, because you have the ability to use your shield as well. And there are other abilities, such as a shield charge, where you run with the shield, you knock someone down and they fall down, and different other special abilities that you unlock during the course of the game. Now, as you would expect in a game like this, the same kind of basic mechanics applies to most other third-person action games. You're going to be running around killing enemies and collecting items that are going to help you to level up. When you level up, you're going to get more powerful abilities. So for example, when you start, your shield just bounces off maybe 1 or 2 guys. When you get later on in the game and you level up the shield, you can throw it and it could go like a pinball, boom, 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 between a whole bunch of dudes and take out a whole group at once, okay? So that's to be expected. You level up your abilities like in these games. Also, because they want to add to the replay, not the replayability, but the actual length of the game and the experience of the game, they knew that if it was just basic platforming and combat, you'd get bored. So they have you collecting items. So what are you collecting in this game? Pretty much every fucking thing you can think of. You'll be collecting World War II memorabilia, including German helmets, the diaries of Baron Zemo, where you get to read about what happened to Baron Zemo when Hydra took over his castle. You'll be collecting ceramic eggs. I'm not kidding. Ceramic eggs. Why? Captain America is such an art buff and wants to find all these ceramic eggs that were left in Castle Zemo. I have no fucking clue, but you'll be collecting them for some reason. And not to say that it's worthless collecting these items. You do get experience points for them, which help you level up and become more powerful, but you also do unlock achievements and or trophies when you find a certain amount of these items. So I did find, for example, in my playthrough, enough of the eggs to get an achievement for it. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go around not only just doing the basic combat and, you know, trying to survive and do the platforming, but you're going to be constantly looking around for items to pick up, which at some points can be very tedious, but it adds a little bit more and it gives you an incentive to explore more of the game rather than just worry about just going down that straight and narrow path to the end and beating it fairly quickly. That being said, the game still isn't very long. It's exactly what you would expect from a movie tie-in game. It's about 6 to 8 hours long. It all depends on how long it takes you to really beat it, combat-wise. If you get a hang of the combat and you zoom through the game, you could probably beat the game within 5 hours. But for me, I was trying to look for most of the items. For one weird thing about this game, unlike most of these movie games where it's a very linear path, and you can only do one thing, and once you're done with that level, you move on to the next level, you can never go backwards. In Captain America, all of the parts of Baron Zemo's castle actually link together. And so, what the game basically lets you do is once you get to the last level, you go to this sewer area, and in the sewer area there's actually staircases to every single board in the game. And so you said, man, well, I would like to get the achievement for finding all the ceramic eggs, but I already beat the first 5 levels, what do? You can go back to those first 5 levels through the sewers. So that was actually a kind of a neat thing that they did there. They said, you know what, We know that you might miss something your first time through the game. Let's allow players before they beat the game to go back and try to find all the items to see if they can get the achievements for it. I really like that aspect of the game. And that being said, being that the combat is a little bit better than most of these games, it's a little bit longer than a lot of these games. The actual presentation of the game isn't that bad. It's just fucking hilarious that Captain America is the hero because he looks like a trick-or-treater in this game. And it's so funny, the combat animations that they give him as well. Some of them are just hilarious. But the game's not bad. It's obviously nothing spectacular. Again, what I would say is this is a pretty good weekend rental. It's definitely not worth $60, especially because once you beat the game once, and then maybe go back even to find some of the collectibles, you're never going to play this game again. It's only a one-player game. There's no online play. There's no co-op. It's just a single-player campaign, and then this thing will collect dust or get traded in. So I really don't recommend anyone buying the game for $60. But I would say, if you have some time to kill, you want to have a laugh with a superhero game that is actually a little bit above par for what this usual superhero fare is, I would say this is a weekend rental that's worth it. So Captain America Super Soldier, who I actually called Captain America Super Dick through most of the game just to make fun of it, and then also the movie tagline was the first Avenger. So really I was saying Captain America Super Dick the first asshole, and that was pretty funny. And you should do that too if you play the game, because it's pretty fucking funny to just say that throughout the game. But it's an okay game, and so if I were to actually give this game a Hateful Truth rating, again looking at my scale, 5 is very average. 7 would be pretty good. 8 would be above average, very good. You should probably buy it. I'm going to say Captain America Super Soldier is a 5.5. It's just slightly above the average movie tie-in game, and it is a lot more entertaining. I'm going to compare it directly to a movie tie-in game that I did rate recently, which was Transformers Dark of the Moon. Transformers Dark of the Moon had a shorter campaign than this game. The gameplay wasn't as good. It has online play, but the online play is done within 3 hours. You actually level up to the maximum. There's no incentive to ever play it again. I think they polished this game a little bit more than Transformers Dark of the Moon was polished. And I think the gameplay is a little bit more refined. There's more items to find. It is a more entertaining game to play the campaign one time through, and it is longer than that game. So that's why, even though it's not a great game, I do give it a higher rating. I give it a 5.5 compared to Transformers Dark of the Moon's 5. Okay? Alright, so that's it for Captain America Super Soldier. This has been the Hateful Truth Game Review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time for another honest, truthful, hateful review. See you later.